Hey all, it's Ryan Monso, and this is Go Cougs Cougar Afterthought Show. Those cats, it's right up there in the corner, brought to you by Stewart Gus Injury Lawyers. What the hell did we just watch? U of H wins it 25-24 on a two-point conversion in overtime. I don't know how this stuff keeps happening under Dana Holgerson, but it does. That's the sixth overtime game in the last 105, 106 weeks. You had 3 last year, 2 this year. Could have had another. And for this team to come back from 41-0 to go on the road and win in the Big 12, no matter how bad Baylor is, no matter how ugly it was, that's a big win. The players think it's a really big deal. They were excited. It was a big deal to them, and good for them. Starns, what do you got?
It seemed like it was all crashing down when Jack Martin missed the field goal, and then Blake Shapen somehow gets loose on 4th and 17. It was 4th and 28 on the scoreboard. He ended up getting 28, and he saves the drive, and then they go down and score, and then in overtime they just immediately get down to the 2, I want to say, score a couple plays later, and then on the PAT, Nelson Caesar jumps over the center. He's called for it, and then that sets U of H up. Leaps over, yeah. That sets up U of H at the 40 instead of the 25, and it's like, it just seems like, okay, this is how these things sort of happen, how they've gone for the last couple of years, and but somehow they pull it out. Donovan Smith leads a great drive, plays well, almost fumbles it in the end zone. Could talk about that. And then they score a touchdown on the QB sneak. They did 3 QB sneaks today. 1 didn't count because of 12 men on the field for Baylor, but they did two that did count for good. That second one was the touchdown, and then they go for it they go for 2, and it was a great play call. Donovan Smith runs it in, the game over, and somehow U of H avoids an awful collapse.
Awful. All right, let's set the scene, do the intro, and come back and get this going.
I'm Stuart Gus, official personal injury attorney of U of H Athletics. Cougar athletes have to trust their coaches and teammates, whether it's going for it on 4th down, nailing that 3-point shot, or trusting your teammate to hit that walk-off home run. If you've been in an accident, big or small, do not go it alone. You can trust Gus to fight for your maximum recovery.
Call 866-TRUST-GUS today. TrustGus.com. Principal Office, Houston, Texas.
Go to my Twitter.
Go to his Twitter. Starnes Leland. So, the stats that I'm looking at say 24-17 Baylor wins the game. That's a final. I am almost certain that's not what happened. Almost.
I actually overheard, because one of the Houston SIDs was speaking with another Baylor SID. The Baylor SID told the Houston SID that the person running the tablet, the stats tablet, thought the game was over after Baylor scored. And so it took them a while to figure it all out.
Boy, you can say that again. Doesn't seem like they figured it out. But 25-24, just a really dumb way for this to end. U of H had lost 3 overtime games in a row. Lost to Texas Tech and Tulane last year and then Rice this year. So finally get that win against a private school. So woo! The offense was all over the place. Joseph Manjack did not make the trip, still in concussion protocol. Matthew Golden hurt his leg. We were told at the half he was probable for the second half, but he never had a helmet, never looked like he was close to coming in. The running game was a little spotty. It really was all Donovan Smith. Tony Mathis caught a wheel route for a touchdown. But other than that, the offense just never clicked. They had just over 300 yards of offense, gave up 420 or so. So, Starnes, you're young. This is still new to you. What do you think about what you saw?
I mean, it felt like a typical Houston football game. I think what we also watched was pretty clearly two not great teams in the Big 12, two bad teams duke it out, and it seemed like just saw your tweet there. Going into halftime, it was 7-0 at halftime. Come out of the half, U of H gets a field goal. And then really from then on, Baylor is marching down the field. And it kind of felt like you could see it slipping away. And they got lucky that there was
Who is they?
Houston.
Okay.
They got lucky. There was maybe not lucky, but Baylor threw a touchdown pass to, I believe it was Josh Cameron.
Yeah, Josh Cameron.
Looked like a great catch. Turns out he was bobbling it. May have been out of bounds. It was really close. I still haven't seen like the total thing of it, whether or not he was out of bounds.
Did it feel like the reviews kind of went U of H's way today?
Oh, absolutely. It felt like that one I wasn't, at first I thought, okay, maybe he bobbled it hit the ground. Okay, then it didn't pretty clearly. And then they come out, they said he was out of bounds when he was bobbling it. And then we looked at the replay again. I don't think we saw
I didn't see it.
His maybe his elbow or something out of bounds. And then when Donovan Smith he had a run, dove for the goal line, reached out for it, looked like he was bobbling the ball, went down, lost the ball. And then
he may have gotten it back. Like they said it happened he was down before the fumble. I would have to look at it again. I'm sure people that watched on TV saw it a lot. I didn't. You didn't. So that was one. And then the touchdown where Baylor clearly scored and they called him down half a yard short. Dave Aranda ran down the sidelines to the line judge and was pleading his case. But apparently they did that super secret Big 12 replay where it doesn't happen, where anybody sees it. You know what that's about. So I thought the replays really went U of H's way. Some penalties did not. Wiped out a couple scores, wiped out quite a bit. Could have been the difference in the game for U of H and could have been against. Ruben Unige was clearly holding on the 2-point play. I mean, he got away with it. I don't think they're ever going to call that, but it happened. Who would you say had the day? Obviously, Donovan Smith scores the 2-point play, but who had the best day among Cougars?
I mean, Nelson Caesar came back from injury, had 2.5 sacks, and they're all pretty substantial. One caused the 4th and 17 that, of course, Chapin ended up escaping from. He played well. I thought Traylon Payne played well. Jamal Morris got hurt in the Kansas State game, and Payne came in. I think had 9 tackles. He had a sack and a half. I thought he made some big plays in the first half. Yeah, those are the two that stand out to me, particularly on defense.
Yeah.
Um,
Caesar had a huge game. He was out last week with a concussion and he said he was excited to get back. And it clearly showed today. Dalton Carnes made 2 really big catches on that response drive where you go down and take the lead again at 17-10. Tony Mathis caught a wheel route down the right side. Great throw by Donovan Smith. Just unbelievable. And that was Tony Mathis' first score as a Cougar.
mhm.
Dana said something in the post game about Donovan Smith that I think is 100% accurate, is that Donovan can throw a bad interception and it just resets in his mind. It's exactly what you want a quarterback to do. You don't want him to be lost on the last play. And he's able to just move on. And a lot of quarterbacks can't do that. But he's shown a resilience and like a Teflon quality that's, I think, has been vital for U of H in these 2 crazy nuts wins in the last month. I mean, these things don't happen. You don't get the Hail Mary. You don't go for 2 in the first overtime and make it. I mean, you just don't do these things, especially when you give up that drive to West Virginia and then you give up the same sort of drive today. The shape in 4th and 17 was brutal. And a lot of teams just don't come back from that. But you got to credit Donovan Smith that he's able to put the team on his back. And they started the 40. And you got a false start on unization. So you really went 45 yards. And he put him on his back and you know, he was a split second away from fumbling it all away. And then they score the touchdown. He gets the 2-point. I really liked what they showed on the 2-point play. They showed it before the Baylor timeout. And then again, you put 2 tight ends out wide, kind of stacked. I was like, whoa. And clearly they were just trying to space it all out and give Donovan that look. It was empty backfield. Baylor should have seen it coming. They didn't. Unige got a little bit of one of those. And so we'll see. This is a question or a comment that I think is a reasonable comment. Jack Martin has not had a great year. You pushed away a kicker who'd been pretty good here for Jack Martin. Martin has missed some key kicks. He pulled one last week in Manhattan. He pushed one this week pretty wide. That field goal could have gotten you a win. But college kickers, right?
I mean, Baylor's kicker was pretty terrible. Caldwell got the block on the first one, but the second
Caldwell
one,
made a great play.
yeah. But the second one, I want to say I was around the same range as Martin's, and he missed it. And that was kind of the difference in the game, ultimately. But yeah, Martin's missed a lot of those kind of kicks from that range that can help. And then this was, probably the most detrimental missed kick that they've had.
Yeah.
But I mean, with the receivers out, with Golden out, with Manjack out, that was, probably a big reason why the offense didn't have much rhythm. But I think that drive in the second half where Dalton Carnes made the 2 plays and then Smith hit Mathis for the touchdown. That was probably the biggest. I guess other than the overtime was probably the biggest moment of the game. They played well enough, just well enough. The receivers made enough plays to put them in the position to win the game. And then Donovan Smith, of course, took it home.
I don't trust the stats we have in front of us. So bear with me. They say that U of H had 1 rushing yard in the fourth quarter. I can't imagine that to be true. Maybe it was. It's been a long day. Started at 4 a.m. and it's, I don't know, what is it, midnight? Oh,
7:30.
7:30. Yeah, that's what I thought. U of H ended up with 120, 130 rush yards, but it just never feels like it gets in rhythm. Parker Jenkins did not have very many touches, and so it was mainly Donovan Smith. And, they put him out there with Manjack out and then especially Golden getting hurt. They put it on his back, and he delivered. And you can question the turnovers. The first one especially, Dana said it wasn't even in his reads. He shouldn't have been throwing that. It was nowhere close to what he should be doing. The second one, you're trying to force something down there. That happens sometimes.
End of the half.
Yeah, Tony, well, I mean, you still had a chance. Tony Mathis, I believe, said that, happens to all quarterbacks. Just tell them to shake it off and go on. And I think that's the right attitude instead of maybe piling on your quarterback to say, this happens. We're going to go get it next time. And I mean, this is not a great offense by any stretch. You 17 points in regulation. You had 0 last week, 24 the week before. I mean, that's just not very good. But you did get a win out of it, and that is a big deal. I think this win is going to either catapult you into that bowl contention. Cincinnati, not very good. And you get them at home. I don't think the crowd's going to be great, but maybe it surprises me. But you've got a fighting shot now. You don't have to go crazy and win the last 3, which you're very close to having that have to happen. But
Yeah, this is you almost kind of had to have this one. I think beating Cincinnati and then Oklahoma State, who just beat Oklahoma, who's been just rolling.
Yeah.
And then UCF on the road is, I mean, really tall task, particularly the Oklahoma State part. I don't know how much we learned from this team today, but I also don't know how much we have learned from most of these games.
Yeah.
We can sit here and say, okay, this is a good start to the bowl push. Maybe things going momentum, but I feel like we've said that 2 or 3 times before. I don't think we can predict anything this team is going to do each week. I could see them crushing Cincinnati. I could also see them getting crushed. It's.
You can say a lot about what happened last week, but this team fought. They fought against Texas. They fought against West Virginia. And you haven't always seen that under Dana Holgerson. You haven't always seen it with this team. I don't think there was a lot of fight in the Rice game until your pride got hurt and you're down 28-0. You had a pretty good first half against Tech. Second half was terrible. You really didn't play well against TCU. But West Virginia, Texas, in this game. You saw a fight. Now, there is that huge stinker with Kansas State, and you can't make that go away. But I think a lot of people thought this team would fold up, and they had every opportunity to do it today. They really did. But they fought and they battled, and it was ugly. But they got a win. And you come and you play these games to win, period. And you did. And it's ugly. And it's a lot of Dana Holgerson wins are ugly, but they're wins. And you don't think you got enough of them last year. This year has been a struggle, but you're 4-5. I thought U of H would go 4-8 this year. So in my mind, you've gotten the 4 wins. It's all on up after this. Maybe that's what happens. But this was a big deal to the players, and I think you have to just see it for what it is. It's a step. Can you build on it? Can you build on it some more? If you start playing your best football in November, that says something.
You know, if not now, the win. This is the right time to do it. I mean, you think about a team's first 2 conference wins in a new conference. Has it ever been this crazy? Two game-winning plays. I mean, has any team ever won their first 2 conference games
like that?
This?
Yeah.
You know, whatever that says, I don't know. But they're wins. They're wins that you really needed, and you got them, and that says something.
It does say something. I don't know what it says.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't. Let's take a little break.
I'm Stuart Gus, official personal injury attorney of U of H Athletics. If you've been injured in an auto accident, big or small, who you have on your team matters. You can trust Gus to get you the best possible results for your case.
Call 866-TRUST-GUS.
Do you have any questions?
Was that 2-point play call? Was that the best play call in the Holgerson era?
He used to call for Marcus Jones to score touchdowns on special teams, and I really liked those play calls. I thought those were pretty good.
High success rate.
Yeah. You just didn't have a ton of wins early on. I'm trying to think of anything that comes close. You can't really say the Hail Mary is a play call. I mean, that just kind of happens.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, maybe it is. I really liked it. I want to go look at it again. But I mean, he spread them out. He kind of confused them. Got his little hold. And then they made the play. And Donovan comes up from the ground and starts doing his little queen wave to the band, that end zone. And that'll never not be funny to me. I just prefer when I like talking shit before you do something, but second best is right after. Yeah, I think that's the best play call that I recall, like the biggest moment play call.
Yeah.
Because that was, win or go home.
Yeah.
Dana said that everybody's going to be back next week. He said it was a really big win for the Cougs, which I thought was about the best thing he said. And he called it a big step. And if they can make that a step, instead of just being a 1 step forward, 2 back, 3 back, whatever else, that would be big. I'm really struggling in this one today, Starns. I'm going to be honest with you.
Guess I have to lead the way again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess you will. They were 3 of 9 on 4th down from what I can tell, which is horrible. But you got it done.
Third down, you mean?
What did I say?
Fourth down.
Okay, they were not 3 of 9 on 4th down, but
They were good on fourth down.
they were good on 4th down. It turns out when you run your quarterback some, good things can happen. Yeah, 3 of 9 on 3rd down. See, I have it written down as 4th down. Long day. 12:30, 1 a.m., something like that. Whew. Everything could have blown up there at the end. I mean, really just thinking about it,
Oh yeah.
you had 5 or 6 opportunities for everything to just go completely wrong. And a couple of them did. 4th and 17 obviously is one, but they got it done. And I think that's probably the biggest thing you can say. The players had a sense of happiness that you don't see all the time. You saw it against West Virginia, but that was kind of a different thing. I'm struck by the fact that they didn't give up and they fought through this, and it wasn't pretty and it wasn't what they wanted, but you figured out a way. And I think that's the most important thing. Any key takeaways for you?
I mean, it in that the happiness that you mentioned. I mean, it seemed like this Baylor game was like a big deal for them. Like I don't know if it was whether it was after the Kansas State loss or because it was Baylor, or it seemed like a bigger win to them than maybe we would have expected it to be to them. We don't know what the messaging was going into the week and things like that.
This is the biggest in-state win they've had in years, probably since 2009. In terms of the opponent, the SMU win in 2021 was a big deal, but this mattered to them. And you can almost, and I don't want to say this the wrong way, but coaches preach messages. And sometimes you hear the coach when the player is talking. It happens a lot with Kelvin, right? You start to hear the players talk like him. There's a little bit of that happening with these players and Dana.
Yeah.
Dana said immediately after the game, we forgot Kansas State. It's over. And then said the team on Monday really put it behind them. And the players were saying that, like, okay, we got rid of that. It's like cancel, it's over. And I feel like that's what you saw from the players.
And now that I think about it, this was the last chance they had to beat an in-state opponent. They got 4 chances this year. This was the last one. So I mean, I can imagine that was.
Well, they got 6 chances this year, right? So
UTSA,
Rice,
yes,
Texas Tech, TCU, Baylor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you beat UTSA, but you beat Baylor. You didn't get Tech or Texas, and you didn't get Rice or TCU.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. But these next 2 weeks at home set up to be pretty big. I wonder if you'll see any of the fan base creep back. It is homecoming. That's a big deal to a lot of people. Do they peek back in for Oklahoma State if you beat Cincinnati? I don't know. I think it's a team worth coming out to watch. You can say a lot of things about a lot of teams and coaches that have kind of jumped the shark, and maybe you think that way about Dana, but they played hard for him today. And if you think that's a criteria, something that needs to be judged on, then they succeeded today. It's obviously a must win. You can't lay an egg against a bad Cincinnati team. And that
Did they lose
Cincinnati
to
team
UCF
has
today?
had your hell if I know. Maybe yes, no. Let's look. We have the internet. Ooh, it was 28-26 UCF. Yeah, that's brutal.
Mm-hmm. No,
How
if you
about
can't.
Sam Houston winning a game? I'm happy for them. Way to beat Kennesaw State. But Cincinnati's not good. They came back and scored 9 points in the fourth quarter today. They came close, but they didn't get it done. You have to beat them. It's not about bowl. It's about the direction of your program. And I think that is correct. They played Cincinnati. Okay, I guess I should put the comment up. I'm reading it like everybody else can just read it. But yeah, they beat Cincinnati about week 4 on a Thursday night in Cincinnati. And then have lost, I think, every game since then.
I wonder. I mean, they have to win this game, but it feels like Cincinnati might throw the kitchen sink for this one, because they have West Virginia after that, and then Kansas at home.
Maybe.
This,
But
this
they're on
may
the
seem-
road. They just got heartbroken. Maybe that works in U of H's favor for once.
Mhm.
So I'm going to be honest. That's all I got.
You don't have any questions?
Where are we going to dinner?
Man, none of us have ever been here. We don't know.
Yeah. This is my first time at McLean Stadium. I didn't get to walk around as much as I do normally. This is stadium number 71 for me. It seems nice. The biggest bathroom I've ever been in a stadium. And, you know, everybody's been nice. Not near as nice as they were in Manhattan last week. That was crazy. Those people were awesome. I can't wait to go back in 3 years. But yeah, how about we just call that a night?
All right.
Thank you, Starns. Thank you, Ann.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Ann.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to do this. Thank y'all. We'll see you all week on GoCougs.com.
Yahoo!
I'm Stuart Gus, official personal injury attorney of U of H Athletics. As you know, a great quarterback wins championships. If you've been injured in an auto accident, big or small, you can trust Gus to quarterback your case.
Call 866-TRUST-GUS today. Principal office, Houston, Texas.